3,000! History with an exclamation point!
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied. Rockies are champions of baseball.
And this is why you don't give up on your team when they lose whatever it was, 7 out of 9 or 9 out of 11, whatever it was in a January stretch of games. This is exactly why you don't do that. Basketball is an 82-game season. The regular season is not meant to live game by game. You know, very often when teams struggle, you're going to hear a lot of fans, including myself, say this team has no chance if the playoffs started tomorrow. Never thought that made sense, because the regular season is for preparing yourself for the playoffs when they arrive. And the Knicks, still have 20 whatever games to go here, but when they struggle, I think we need to keep that in mind, that this is all about building good habits. So when you get to the playoffs, we aren't saying that type of stuff. And the Knicks right now are playing some really, really impressive basketball. They just picked up last night their by far most dominant and by far most impressive win of the season. And it was a win that if you were on the edge and you were like, should I take them serious? Should I not? Should I wait a little bit long? I think a little bit longer. I think for a lot of fans who are on that edge, I think this was a game that was like, oh, should probably start taking them more serious. I shouldn't even add the word more in there because it's kind of a cop-out. We should probably start taking them serious. Because when you look at their resume so far this year, they have beaten San Antonio twice, if you include the Cup game. They beat Denver now twice. They've beaten Houston. They've beaten the Lakers, who they've got coming up. All these teams in the West that are top seeds. Obviously, we'll talk about OKC, but they beat Boston twice. They've beaten Cleveland twice. They've beaten Toronto all 4 times. Again, you lost to OKC, but I think all of us agree that they played a very good game and that they were also playing against the Zebras in that game too, but we won't even go there. It was an encouraging game. They're the only team that they've consistently struggled against this year that's considered a contender has obviously been the Detroit Pistons, who I'm not trying to be disrespectful, and I promise I'm not just saying this because the Knicks are 0-4 and it's a rivalry developing. I don't take the Pistons that serious as a team that's I don't think they're going to go deep in the playoffs. I don't take them serious as a contender because of their lack of offense and their lack of three-point volume. They're just way too old school of a team for me, and I think that's great. It's a fun storyline in the regular season. Their toughness, their defense, all of that, but they're not nearly streamlined enough, in my opinion, and my opinion is useless, to do anything. But that can change, right? And again, it's not about regular season matchups, so the Knicks can beat all these teams and they can lose right away in the playoffs. But I think we're starting to see the good habits being built, the good process consistently being displayed. And so in this episode, where we talk about this Knicks 142-103 win, by the way, over the Nuggets, we're going to get very detailed. And we're going to dive into a lot of specific possessions and a lot of examples from last night's game that we're going to break down and discuss. So if you're into that kind of X's and O's, stick around because it's going to be important. But, I think head coach Mike Brown I think the guy's taken lots of criticism from Knicks fans this year, Knicks fans like myself especially, regarding the starting lineup and running the same lineup out there consistently, despite whether it be the eye test or the metrics, just consistently underwhelming us. But again, I think, and last night served as the best example. Oops, I think we need to remember the reason he's doing that is because it's the regular season and he wants to give that lineup reps so that he has more options to go to come the playoffs. And yeah, last night was the most optimistic indicator you could ask for regarding that starting five. And the Cat Hart stuff that we've been discussing all year. Now I will say it was Nikola Jokic in that cross match, and it was not Victor Wembanyama. It wasn't anybody from OKC, Hartenstein or Chet Holmgren. Nikola Jokic, as great as he is, and he's one of the best players of all time, top 10, maybe top 5, he is not a good defensive big to have in that type of coverage off Josh Hart. He's not the guy who's going to successfully be able to roam and help. And I think you saw that, though, last night. Because Denver, they've been a great matchup for the Knicks for a little bit now. Because the Knicks were able to seek him out the entire night. And one of the things we always discuss when talking about these cross matches is how can we get Towns going, right? And it's all, in my opinion, about hitting him early and hitting him often. Because when they are cross-matched, right, when Josh Hart draws the center and he's now your de facto center on offense and Cat's relegated to the 4 with a wing on him, the problem is the reps. They're not going to go to that Brunson Cat pick and roll as much. But you can still get Cat involved. And I think a lot of the time the Knicks struggle with that. A lot of these issues do come down to just his teammates not finding him enough when he's got these mismatches with Hart on the floor. Right? Cat with the small on him or with the wing on him, that should be a good thing. It might take away the Brunson Cat pick and roll because it's now an auto switch. But it should be a mismatch for Cat to take advantage. And I thought last night was very good. And I think Jalen Brunson, as up and down as he's been recently with his shot making, his playmaking's been incredible. And lately he's just been a dime machine. He's got 40 assists in his last 3 games, and 15 of those assists, they came last night. And sometimes it still doesn't matter if the paint is clogged with help defense, but the quick decision making is key when you're trying to hit Cat in those lineups. So if the Knicks hit Towns on the post versus a small, if they do that early off the switch, like right away, that's what you want because it beats any potential of a scram switch where they'll switch it back. And now he's posting it big, which is an advantage. And it gives that roaming big less time to come over and help if your decision making is quick and you're going right to it. And if Cat is in face up as opposed to when his back is to the basket and post up on that small, he can read any potential help coming from in front of him as opposed to when the defense sends backside help to him in post up. And I think you saw a lot of that last night, a lot of the positives of that. There was a possession early in the first quarter where the Nuggets were on that run. They were up 11-2 to start the game. The Knicks go to a Brunson Cat pick and roll. And even though Denver switches it with 2 wings, it was Gordon and Braun to neutralize it. You still, again, you had a matchup advantage for Cat. So what happens is Cat posts Braun at the top of the key. Brunson hits Cat right away on the mismatch, and Cat attacks Braun in face up for a finish. Top of the second quarter, the no Brunson minutes, couple of really nice possessions between Cat and Alvarado. The first one, Denver, it's an Alvarado Cat pick and roll. Denver has Gordon in drop on the ball side of the screen, so he's late to recover back to the roll side. Alvarado hits Cat on the roll. Cat gets downhill with momentum going toward the basket. Gets an easy finish through Gordon. The next time down for the Knicks, it's another Alvarado Cat pick and roll. Denver switches Gordon to Alvarado, Strother to Cat, whatever his name is. Strother? I don't know. It's a very cultured name. I don't know where he's from, but I do apologize for mispronouncing it. They switch one of their wings to Cat. As Cat establishes position on the post, Alvarado goes to Shamet, but then Shamet hits Cat with the entry once he posts the small, and he ends up drawing contact. Middle of the second quarter, they run another one. Alvarado Cat pick and roll on the empty side. Alvarado hits Cat on the post as Mitch Robinson flashes to the post on the opposite slot, weak side, pulls Jokic away from the strong side post up Cat. So Cat attacks the small on the post for a dunk with Jokic late to rotate help. Top of the third quarter, Brunson Cat empty side pick and roll. Denver again switches Gordon to Brunson, Braun to Cat. Brunson hits Cat ASAP on the post versus the small Braun. Cat drives on him with ease. Once the help comes to the drive, Cat then makes a weak side pass to OG on the corner, knocks down a three. Also a very nice back cut from Josh Hart on this play to draw attention off OG and to the cut that opened him up. A couple more middle of the third. The Knicks run a slob play. Brunson inbounds to Cat on the baseline, who's posting Aaron Gordon. Hart spacing at the top of the key with Jokic in deep drop, ignoring him. So Cat hits a wide open Hart for a three, knocks it down. And then late third quarter, it's another Brunson Cat pick and roll. Denver switches Jones to Brunson and Braun to Cat again. Brunson hits Cat, who posts the small Braun, and Cat immediately turns around, finishes at the basket with these. Just consistently finding him quickly off the mismatch so the defense couldn't help in time or couldn't switch it back in time. So I thought that was huge. And when you go to the other side of it, the Josh Hart stuff regarding the switch or the cross matching, I thought the Knicks utilized him perfectly. You know, despite still going to the Hart Cat lineups, again, he's doing it to improve it. The Knicks used him right in those lineups. Whether it was using Josh Hart to screen off ball or to screen and pick and roll so Brunson could get the switch onto Jokic, or he could get Jokic and drop, or it was Josh Hart doing what he does best and rebounding the ball and playing fast to avoid those half-court scenarios where the defense can cross-match and play those help coverages off Hart. And you saw examples of both of that last night, but you really loved the way Hart was pushing in transition to avoid those cross matches, right? In the middle of the first quarter, Jamal Murray misses a layup. Hart grabs the board, coast-to-coast finish. The next time down, it's a missed three. Cat grabs the board, goes to Hart, draws contact in transition. Second quarter, late in the period, Jamal Murray misses another layup. Cat rebounds the ball. He goes to Hart. He goes to McHale, transition dunk. Top of the third quarter, off of a Denver make, but Hart inbounds the ball. And he's quick to push it up. He goes to Brunson, who goes to Cat for a trail three off a make. You know, middle of the third quarter, Johnson misses a layup. Hart grabs the board. He goes to OG for a trail three. Late third quarter, Hardaway Jr., who I did not know was still playing, misses a three. Cat grabs the rebound, goes to Brunson, who goes back to Cat for a transition layup. You know, just consistently playing fast with pace so that they didn't settle into the half court and allow the defense to set up the matchups they wanted to. And then again, screening with Hart and pick and roll so Brunson could get the Jokic matchup still. The Knicks were putting Jokic in action a ton. A couple possessions here I want to go over. Late in the second quarter, you get a Brunson Hart pick and roll out of a horn set. Jokic is playing at the level, so Hart is able to roll past the coverage in an open lane because Jokic is up high. Brunson goes to Hart for an easy finish over Spencer Jones, who brought low man help. Late third quarter, another Brunson-Hart pick and roll. Jokic is playing drop coverage this time, so Brunson uses that space to walk into an open pull-up jumper. And they were putting Jokic in off-ball action too. Not only was Jokic put in primary action, but he was sought out in weak side action just away from the ball, screening him off with Josh Hart to get him, to get the Jokic switch for a favorable matchup for guys like OG, to occupy the defense while the action takes place, flare screening, ball screening on the empty side. Just did a really good job of making sure Jokic was not going to be comfortable. Now, there is some defensive stuff that I want to go over as well regarding Nikola Jokic, and we'll do that the second we get back from break. Stay with us.
Quick break here, guys. Stay connected with BD4 on social media. Follow us on Instagram and X at BD4Pod, and find us on Facebook by searching BD4. Don't miss out. Join the conversation. Want more BD4? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and never miss an episode. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and share with your fellow fans. Don't forget to ring that bell so you're always the first to know when a new video drops. Love BD4 but don't have the time to sit down and watch? Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a 5-star rating and a quick review. It helps us grow and keeps the conversation going.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Episode 1019 of the podcast. The Knicks win 142-103 over the Nuggets last night. In Denver, by the way. So we talk a lot, and we just did talk about how the Knicks often get cross-matched with certain lineups. I always wish the Knicks did it more on the other end, and last night they were able to by cross-matching Nikola Jokic and using him as the Josh Hart of the other team. So they were able to give teams a taste of their own medicine. You had OG at the 5 and Cat at the 4 defensively. And what that allowed the Knicks to do is it allowed OG to switch to Jamal Murray on pick and rolls. And it also allowed him to guard Jokic single post-ups. And it also allowed Cat to be at the 4 as weak side low man on some of those possessions. Late second quarter, you get a Jamal Murray, Jokic DHO. OG switches to Murray. Does a nice job, but Murray does drive past him. McHale blocks a shot at the basket, though, off the switch. Jokic goes for the rebound, but Cat, as he rotates over as weak side low man, takes the ball right out of his hands. Knicks get the possession. Top of the third quarter, I think it was, or was it late second quarter? Maybe top of the third quarter. Knicks force a turnover. Jokic is posting OG, but he fronts the post to take away the entry, intercepts the pass, steals it. Knicks get ball the other way. So he had some nice possessions where he was able to keep up in that matchup, playing the 5 essentially, and it worked for the Knicks. And I was very impressed with Cat defensively throughout the night. He just seems much more engaged this year, at least for the last couple of months. I think a big part of it is because, remember, under Tom Thibodeau last year, we were advocating so hard for Tibbs to just mix up coverages. Give us some variance, Don't just consistently default to drop coverage all the time. And with Cat, right now, he's playing a lot more in coverage at the level. He's not just dropping this year. And I think Cat in drop coverage so much last year was a reason that he was so poor defensively at times. Because when Cat is in drop, he almost prefers it, but it's a bad thing because he gets too comfortable. It's too much of just standing around. It gives too much runway for the guard when he comes off to use that space to drive right into him and draw a foul. It just leaves Cat too stationary, and then he has to suddenly rotate over to block a shot. His feet aren't quick enough for that. But now, where he is, he's higher at the level. He's sometimes switching. It's just a much more suited coverage for him, and it's forcing him to be active because it's he's always having to pay attention to something now, so he needs to be involved and engaged. It's taking him out of his comfort zone, which is a really good thing. And so there were some defensive stands from Cat that stood out last night. One that I want to point out came at the very top of the first quarter. It's an empty side isolation versus Jokic. He holds his own on the drive, forces the pass to the weak corner to a weaker shooter in Braun, misses the shot. Good job by Cat forcing that and not allowing Jokic to get a shot up. Early to mid first quarter, it's a Murray-Jokic pick and roll with Cat in high coverage. Cat switches to Murray on the drive, contests a miss at the basket. The next time down, it's another Murray-Jokic pick and roll. Cat switches to Murray on the perimeter. This time contests a three-point miss. And then there was another one early in the second quarter, Murray-Jones pick and roll with Cat in high coverage. Cat gets in front of Murray to force the pass to Jones on the pop, so he contains ball, forces the pop pass, rotates back to Jones to force a three-point miss, does a nice job getting his hand in his face but not fouling. So, really exceptional job defensively by both Cat and OG. And OG Anunoby, how do you not give him the game ball from last night's game? OG now has eight game balls on the season. It's been up and down for him, but last night was another good game and a really good stretch for him, where he goes for 34 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, 1 block. He shoots 11 for 17 overall, 6 of 11 on his threes, 6 of 6 at the free throw line. He was a plus 17 across 32 minutes. The defense, as we went over, just remains exceptional, versatile. Whoever he has to guard, he could switch 1 to 5 and do it with ease. Help defenses there, fighting over the top of screens better with more urgency this year or lately. And then just going at Jokic on the other end. Every time he had a chance to attack Jokic, because Jokic just doesn't have that mobility, he would go at him, and that help opened up Mitch Robinson because he drew Jokic's attention. Mitch would cut into the dunk spot, and continues to knock down those weak side corners at an exceptional rate. You look at OG Anunoby in the last 5 games. Remember he came back from the injury. He was really struggling from 3. In his last 5, he's 19 for 38. That's 50%, and that's on over 7.5 attempts per game. So I love the volume there. Those 5 outlooks continues to give really good offense, right? When it's like you saw last night again, Alvarado, Shamet, Mikal, OG, and Cat. I mean, all 5 of those guys, that's 5 guys who play defense. And then all 5 of them are going to give you plenty enough offense, especially when Mikal and OG are playing the way that they're supposed to. And they have been recently. And then you can even interchange Mo Diawara in there. Like, it's a good lineup with wingspan and with enough offensive punch to go to when Brunson sits. It's those 5 out lineups at the top of the second quarter that Brown's been going to more recently. And OG, speaking of him shooting from the corners, we mentioned it a little bit a couple episodes ago, or maybe last episode. It's not just about the shooting, but it's about what happens before the potential shot. When OG is on the corner, one of 2 things are always going to happen. Either his defender is going to have to stay home to him on the corner, and that's going to open up the lane for the roll or the drive, or his defender stunts off and has to shade help to the action, and that's going to leave him open on the corner. And last night you saw a lot of the latter, of that part. At the end of the first quarter, you get a Brunson-Mitch pick and roll with OG on the strong corner. OG's man stunts off him to tag the roll, Mitch. Brunson then hits OG open on the corner. Middle of the second quarter, you get a 3-man action between Brunson, Hart, and Mitch with OG weak side. But this three-man action, it drags the entire defense to the first side, including OG's man as weak side low man so he can tag the roll. And because of that, Brunson makes an excellent skip pass to the weak corner to OG as his low man recovers, takes the shot. The next time down, I think the Knicks run the same thing, same three-man action with the same three guys, but this time it's on the strong side where OG's on. He's on the strong corner. So Bruce Brown of the Nuggets, he helps off OG to contain the drive, to contain the Brunson drive off pick and roll. And so Brunson makes that read, makes a nice hit, turns around to hit OG on the strong corner for another three. So just consistently hitting him off the help. Really doing a nice job manipulating help defense last night, the Knicks did. So I wanted to give OG his respects there. And then you go to the second unit. I think you have to go to Mitchell Robinson, man. Mitchell Robinson on the bench has been really good this year. He now has 15 game balls. All of them have come from the second unit. Last night, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds. He was 6 for 7 overall, a plus 12 in the box score in 14 minutes. The offensive rebounding has been tremendous, just consistently creating second opportunities. He had 3 offensive rebounds in the first quarter alone. In the first quarter there, the Knicks are struggling to start with the starting 5, right? At the very top of the game, they were struggling. The Hart and Cat stuff was giving them issues. Brown pulls Cat this time to go to the Mitch Hart lineup, which is good. That's the lineup you want. It's all about leaning into one identity. We always talk about this, not just blending. That doesn't work. But he went to Mitch Hart, and it worked to perfection. Because you can't cross-match and help off of Mitch in that lineup, even though Mitch is not a spacer like Hart. Mitch is an offensive rebounding threat. You can't help off him. You're going to get killed on the boards. And so with Mitch out there, that was able to open up the floor for the Knicks, and they went at Jokic. Mitch went on a scoring binge in that first half, a lot of pick and rolls to get past Jokic, to get above Jokic off the roll, ahead of him, I should say, right? Like if Jokic was in high coverage, Mitch did a nice job slipping the screen, rolling quickly, rolling off a double drag, and he got a couple other baskets by moving into open space, like we mentioned when Jokic was trying to contain the OG Anunoby drive. But yeah, like with Mitchell Robinson's offensive rebounding gravity, and you're having those lineups where Cat's out there with him at the 4, that's going to open up Cat. And you saw some of that last night. So they're doing a nice job. Those are the 3 lineups we consistently say that we want Brown to lean into, right? 5 out, Mitch plus Hart, and Mitch and Cat without Hart. Those are the ones you want them to lean into and just, interchange the other 2 spots around that. So I thought last night, great job there regarding that. And so that helped lead to an excellent win for the Knicks, one that I think most of us are going to remember when we look back at the end of the regular season. So with that said, let me just check my phone here. With that said, the Knicks have a back-to-back coming up. So they will, they will continue this West Coast trip. They are in LA for back-to-back. So tomorrow, 3:30 against the Lakers, and then Monday against the Clippers at 10 p.m. So that's what's coming up next. But with that said, we're going to wrap it up with our trivia question. Let's do that right now. And this episode's trivia question: the Knicks have beaten the Nuggets in 4 consecutive games. Before this streak, during which decade did they last achieve a 4-game win streak against Denver? Was it in the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, or the early 2020s? All right. The Knicks have beaten the Nuggets in 4 straight games. Before this streak, during which decade did they last achieve a 4-game win streak against Denver? The 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, or the early 2020s? That's it, everybody. I appreciate you all tuning in. Go Knicks. I'm going to try to get some episodes out soon regarding the World Baseball Classic. I've been meaning to get to that. I've been watching them. They've been great. So if we can get to that, stick around for that. But go Knicks. Go Knicks, and Let's go see what we can do on this West Coast trip. See you later. Hey guys, thank you for listening to BD4. Be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to us on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time.